Have you ever felt so exhausted from overthinking? Like, it's just a small issue, but your mind keeps spinning in circles, refusing to let go. The more you think, the more tangled it gets. The more you try to stop, the harder it becomes. Sometimes, even a slightly delayed text reply can send you into a spiral, imagining every possible scenario, from the most harmless to the absolute worst. And the worst part? Those scenarios exist only in your head. For many people, overthinking feels like a punishment. It traps them in a loop of worries and anxiety. But hold on. If overthinking is such a bad thing, why do some people use that same busy mind to overcome challenges? Take my friend, for example. After a tough breakup, he was devastated. But instead of letting the sadness consume him, he decided to list 10 positive things about the breakup. At first, he could only come up with 2 or 3, like, now I have more time to hit the gym, or I don't have to check in with someone all the time. But the more he wrote, the more he realized, wait, this isn't so bad after all. And slowly his perspective shifted. Instead of feeling abandoned, he started enjoying his single life. So, the issue isn't about thinking too much or too little. It's about the direction of your thoughts. If you let your mind dwell on negativity, it will drain you. But if you learn to guide your thoughts toward a more positive perspective, overthinking can actually become a tool to make you stronger and wiser. So how do you turn overthinking from a toxic habit into a superpower that helps you navigate tough times? Let's find out. Have you ever felt trapped in your own cycle of overthinking? The more you try to find answers, the more tangled everything becomes. Studies suggest that around 73% of American adults frequently struggle with overthinking, according to a report from the University of Michigan. This doesn't just drain mental energy, it leads to stress, anxiety, and even serious physical health issues. But what if overthinking isn't always a bad thing? What if, instead of seeing it as a burden, we could turn it into an advantage? Think about Elon Musk, one of the greatest minds of our time. He thinks a lot, but not in a way that drags him into negativity. Instead, he applies first principles reasoning, meaning he doesn't let vague thoughts take control. He breaks problems down into their core components, identifies the fundamental truths, and then builds the best possible solution from there. This is an example of using deep thinking in a productive way, rather than getting stuck in an endless loop of worry and doubt. So how can we apply this to our daily lives? There's a simple yet highly effective technique. Ask yourself, what are 10 benefits of this situation? When facing a tough challenge or failure, instead of letting negativity take over, force yourself to identify at least 10 positive outcomes. It might sound strange, but psychology backs this up. Training your brain to search for the good can rewire how it processes information. A Harvard University study found that people who habitually look for opportunities in setbacks experience 23% lower stress levels than those who don't. Let's say you just failed a job interview. The typical reaction might be frustration, self-doubt, or blaming yourself for not preparing well enough. But if you apply this technique, you might realize that not getting this job could actually be a chance to find a better fit elsewhere. You've gained real interview experience, learned more about your weaknesses, and now have the opportunity to improve. You could even use this time to develop a new skill. Sometimes, rejection saves you from ending up in an environment that wasn't right for you in the first place. At first, searching for positives in negative situations may feel forced, but as you make it a habit, you'll start to see a real shift in how you approach challenges. Instead of letting your thoughts weigh you down, you can use them to reshape your emotions, discover new opportunities, and navigate difficulties with greater resilience. And it all starts with asking the right question. The first benefit of asking yourself, what are 10 positives in this situation, is that it helps push sadness out of your mind. It might sound strange, but there's solid science behind it. The human brain processes information sequentially, meaning it can't fully focus on two complex tasks at once. You can test this yourself with a simple experiment. Try reading two different texts at the same time, one with your left eye, one with your right. Or attempt to read a passage while mentally singing the lyrics to a song. You'll quickly realize that you can't do both perfectly at once. The brain can switch between tasks, but it has to momentarily pause one to focus on the other, even if just for a fraction of a second. Now let's apply this principle to handling sadness. When you experience a negative event, your mind naturally spirals into negative thoughts, prolonging feelings of sadness. But if you force yourself to think about 10 potential benefits of that event, you're giving your brain a new complex task, one that doesn't leave much room for dwelling on sadness. According to a Stanford University study, when people engage in mentally challenging tasks, brain regions associated with negative emotions show reduced activity. In other words, as long as you stay focused on listing benefits, your sadness has less space to take hold. Imagine you just lost a promotion opportunity at work. Your natural reaction might be disappointment, frustration, or even self-doubt. But instead of letting those feelings consume you, ask yourself, what are 10 benefits of not getting promoted? Maybe you realize you now have more time to develop a new skill or avoid the overwhelming workload that the new position would have required. Maybe it's a sign that you should seek out a company that better aligns with your values. A Yale University study found that individuals who naturally reframe setbacks as opportunities recover emotionally 40% faster than those who focus solely on the negative. At its core, this technique isn't about denying or avoiding negative emotions. It's about replacing them with a more constructive thought process. The deeper you dive into your list of 10 benefits, the more you'll notice your mindset shifting. And by the time you're done, you might realize that what initially upset you no longer holds the same weight. 40. The second benefit of asking yourself, what are 10 positives in this situation, is that it actively trains your mind to think positively. When you force yourself to look for something good in a negative situation, you're not just shifting your perspective, you're triggering a powerful psychological response. Research from Harvard University shows that people who regularly practice positive thinking have cortisol levels, the stress hormone, that are 23% lower than those with a more negative outlook. This has a direct physiological impact on your body. Imagine you've just experienced a major setback, maybe a failed business venture or a relationship that didn't work out. If you allow yourself to sink into negativity, your body will react accordingly. Your heart rate spikes, blood pressure fluctuates, and your immune system weakens. But the moment you ask yourself, what are 10 positives that came from this failure? You're forcing your brain to shift focus from distress to opportunity. You might realize that this failure gave you valuable experience, taught you an important lesson, or even opened doors to a new path. More importantly, in the process of searching for answers, your mental state begins to shift from stress to relaxation. This isn't just theory. According to a study from the Mayo Clinic, people who maintain a habit of positive thinking have a 30% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and, on average, live 7 to 10 years longer than those who are frequently stressed or anxious. The reason? When you focus on the positives, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, two neurotransmitters that boost mood, strengthen the immune system, and even aid in detoxification. You can see the difference this makes in real-life situations. Imagine two people who both lose their jobs. One person falls into a cycle of worry, sleepless nights, and prolonged stress. The other, after processing the initial shock, asks themselves, what are 10 benefits of losing this job? They realize this might be a chance to learn a new skill, spend more time with family, or even start their own business. As their mindset shifts, their body follows. They sleep better, eat healthier, and think more clearly, making them better prepared for new opportunities. At its core, asking positive questions isn't just a mental exercise. It's a natural remedy for both the mind and body. And the best part? There are no side effects. The third benefit of asking yourself, "What are 10 positives in this situation?" is that it helps you develop mental agility and adaptability. In life, no one can completely avoid setbacks, but the difference between successful and unsuccessful people lies in how they respond to unexpected challenges. Take a real-life example. A young entrepreneur invests all his savings into a tech startup, only to realize that there isn't enough market demand for his product. This kind of failure could crush anyone, but instead of drowning in despair, he asks himself, "What are 10 benefits of losing this money?" His first answer might be, "I've learned how to manage finances better." The second, "I now have a deeper understanding of the market and customers." As he continues thinking, he may realize that this failure has helped him build valuable connections, develop strategic thinking, and even gain the motivation to start again with a better idea. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's backed by science. A study from Stanford University found that individuals with a growth mindset, those who see failure as an opportunity to learn, recover from setbacks faster and are 34% more likely to succeed in their careers compared to those with a fixed mindset. By practicing the habit of asking positive questions during difficult times, you are strengthening your adaptability. You learn to see failure not as the end, but as a stepping stone toward greater achievements. A great example of this mindset can be seen in sports. Elite athletes don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. When a professional golfer misses a crucial putt, he could choose to get frustrated, blame the conditions, or spiral into self-doubt. But the best players have a different habit. They analyze the missed shot, extract a lesson, and immediately refocus on the next one. Tiger Woods once said, "Every bad shot is just a lesson to help me improve my next one." It's this mindset that helped him become one of the greatest golfers in history. This kind of mental flexibility doesn't just help you bounce back from failures, it builds long-term resilience. When you consistently ask, "What are 10 positives in this situation?" you are training your brain to seek opportunities in adversity. Over time, you'll start to realize that no failure is truly a failure. It's just another step forward. Perhaps the most important thing I want you to realize is that the way we perceive an event can completely shape our experience of it. If you only focus on the negative aspects of a situation, it's as if you're placing yourself in a dark corner, missing out on countless good things that exist alongside it. Think about a time when you were misunderstood. You know you're not perfect, no one is. But how does it feel when someone only sees your flaws and ignores all the good things you've done? It feels unfair, doesn't it? You wish they could see you more fairly, recognizing both your strengths and weaknesses. And ironically, life is asking you to do the same for it. Life isn't just one color, yet many people choose to focus only on the dark shades. They forget that every challenge carries an opportunity. And this simple exercise, finding 10 benefits in a seemingly negative situation, is a way for you to start seeing life through a broader lens. It may sound simple, but its power is immense, because once you develop this habit, you will no longer be a victim of circumstances. Instead, you will be the one defining your own experiences. Now, let's move on to the practice. Understanding the principle is easy, but applying it is what truly matters. I encourage you to grab a piece of paper, sit at a desk, and write down what you discover. Don't do this while daydreaming or casually thinking about it in your head. If you're lying in bed trying to focus, you'll find yourself easily pulled back into sadness rather than moving toward a solution. When you sit at a desk with a pen and a blank sheet of paper, you're sending a strong signal to your brain, This is time to work seriously. Let's start with a situation that almost everyone has experienced: a breakup. Yes, breaking up can be painful and leave you feeling a deep sense of loss. But if you look at it from a different angle, you'll see that it also brings several benefits. The first benefit: no more arguments. Have you ever realized how much time you used to spend arguing over small things like what to eat for dinner, why your partner replied to a message late, or why a social media post got too many likes from the opposite gender? Suddenly you can enjoy complete peace of mind. The second benefit: you save more money. For many people, dating isn't cheap. Fancy dinners, surprise gifts, and trips together, all of these add up. When you're single, your wallet finally gets a break. Of course, some people might splurge on shopping to fill the emotional void, but if you use this time wisely, you can invest in yourself, enroll in a new course, travel solo, or simply save up for a bigger plan in the future. And these are just two of the countless positive aspects you can find if you take the time to reflect. When you're just starting out, aim for 10 benefits. But as you get used to it, push yourself further. Try listing 50, even 100. At some point, you'll realize that life has always had an abundance of good things that you simply hadn't noticed before. It's like digging into a gold mine. The deeper you go, the more treasures you'll find. When doing this exercise, we're not discussing what's right or wrong. We're simply listing positive things, no matter how small, as long as they feel like a good thing to us. For example, I've realized a very clear benefit of heartbreak. I get to go back to old hobbies that I neglected while in a relationship. I've seen many people who love fishing, but once they fall in love, the fish disappear, and so does the fishing rod. Then, after a breakup, they finally have the chance to return to their passion. The truth is, some hobbies require a lot of time and focus. When you're in a relationship, it's hard to fully dedicate yourself to both your partner and your interests. But now, you have the time to immerse yourself in things that once brought you joy. And trust me, take advantage of it, because who knows? A few months from now, you might be in love again, and the cycle will repeat itself. Thinking this way, you'll gradually get pulled into a positive cycle. You won't just dwell on the pain anymore. You'll start seeing the opportunities opening up before you. Another benefit? You learn valuable lessons about how to behave in a relationship. I know many people break up because they were too controlling. This is when they realize that controlling someone doesn't make a relationship stronger. It only pushes the other person away. Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants to be themselves. And honestly, if you were the one being controlled, you wouldn't be happy either. So why do it to someone else? Just this one lesson alone is already a huge step toward building a healthier relationship in the future. The more you think about it, the more positives you'll see. You'll start remembering friends you haven't seen in a long time because you were too busy with love. Before, when your friends invited you out, you declined because you had to spend time with your partner. But now, you can reconnect with them, catch up, and relive the good old days. And let's not forget family, the dinners you missed, the conversations you no longer had the patience to listen to. Now you can go back to them, and that's a beautiful thing. You might even get to sleep earlier. It sounds odd, but many people in relationships stay up late, texting until the early hours, having long phone calls, or going on late-night dates. Now you can get back to a healthier routine, sleep earlier, and take better care of your well-being. And because of that, you can spend more time focusing on yourself instead of giving all your attention to someone else. Simply sitting down and listing these things is enough to shift your mood. I'm not heartbroken at the moment, but just thinking about these positives makes me feel happy. This is the power of changing your perspective. It doesn't make the sadness disappear instantly, but it helps you heal without even realizing it. It slowly pulls you out of a negative state without forcing anything. And this doesn't just apply to heartbreak. Imagine you just got off work. It's pouring rain, Traffic is a mess, you're soaked, and you feel incredibly frustrated. But what if, at that moment, you try this exercise in your head? You can't write it down, but you can think, what's the benefit of it raining during rush hour? Maybe you'll remember the joy of your childhood when you used to love jumping in puddles. Or maybe you'll realize that you once paid for an off-road experience just to drive through mud. So why be upset when you're getting a similar experience for free? Sometimes just shifting your perspective a little can turn something that feels unlucky into something unexpectedly enjoyable. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you can apply this to your life and find the light in your own journey. Goodbye, and see you next time.